Hey everyone, it's Clint. This is a freaking weird story. I don't know how else to say this. This is weird. All right, so bear with me. This article came out today on Comics Beat, and if you see there, so this is Hope Nicholson, and we can see the headline right here. Bedside Press publisher Hope Nicholson accused of sexual misconduct. If you click on the link, it's gone. And why? Because The Beat wrote the article, and this is the strangest, funkiest turn of events, but they have an apology posted now. They actually deleted the article, but essentially what happened is a victim, I'm not going to make the same mistake that The Beat made, because when there's sexual assault, you don't identify the victim. We're just too used to this Me Too thing where victims are coming out first very publicly as opposed to going to the police and that kind of stuff. And so it seems like the media is they're just so used to it that you have the victim and the victimizer that they don't remember that very, very basic foundational journalism tells you that whenever there is sexual assault or rape, you do not state the name of the victim. All right, to make things even stranger, the victim in this was male and the perpetrator is female, and that obviously is out loud and proud. This is Hope Nicholson. That is the accused. Now, who accused Hope Nicholson? This is where the tale gets even more twisted. Her victim posted something, I don't know if it was on Twitter or elsewhere, mentioning that he was a victim of sexual abuse or sexual assault, and he left the name of the perpetrator out of anything. So in this really strange competition to see who can be the most woke Me Too loving individual, she actually came out and claimed that she was the perpetrator of the crime. And so, yeah, a crime is committed. She came out to say that she is the perpetrator of this crime. And not only that, but The Beat interviewed her. They identified the victim, connecting the two accounts together. And The Beat, well, we'll look into their apology here, but they actually essentially told her story or her perspective or her excuse. I really, really wish I would have had time to read the whole article. I was a little distracted by the 2,000 copies of Downcast that are now sitting in my living room. So yeah, we will get to that. Don't worry. But let's get into this apology and we can see where everything went absolutely bonkers. All right, so the apology starts. Earlier today, we ran a story that was in line with our previous reporting on sexual harassers in comics. However, we messed up. Classic understatement. They continue. We appreciate our community for holding us accountable. In running this story, we disrespected the victim's autonomy and contributed to the problem rather than mitigating it. The Beat deeply regrets causing more pain to any victim of abuse or harassment. And I can tell you, I'm going to stop there for a minute. I went on to Twitter and he has not been quiet about it. This is all going to come out. I just, I can't criticize The Beat for making this mistake if I go ahead and double down and make it myself. So I'm just going to, let it fly until, it becomes more public, I guess. But he immediately took to the internet to say how wrong it was and that he didn't want his name coming out of her mouth ever again. And so really, really looking bad here. All right, it continues. We acknowledge that our approach to this piece was deeply flawed, especially as we gave space to the alleged abuser to further their narrative without taking that narrative to task. We ultimately centered their side of the story and upheld a system that protects abusers. We did not employ an ethic of care in our reporting when that should have been our utmost measure of response. Last paragraph. We remain committed to believing victims and to outing harassment when it is necessary and appropriate. We will continue to report on industry issues and will strive to be more mindful of the need of victims. Here's the problem. There's so many problems with this. I'm sure that you're finding some yourself, but a major one is that there's always this assumption that it's the man's fault. And this is you know, statistically speaking, more men are getting taken to task, especially in very public ways like this. And so it's funny because their initial reaction is to listen to the woman in this case, and she's the one that stepped forward saying that she is the perpetrator. So how that works, don't ask me. I have no idea how insane this has got to be. They didn't bother even going to the victim. It's not like they had his side of the story at all. They just went ahead and published this because she's a woman. And so all of this was so steeped in this woke ideology that both parties were essentially trying to gain the upper ground. This is the thing. I see this on Twitter all of the time. I think it's beyond just SJWism, but there's this need to gain the upper hand through like victimhood. This happens all the time. It's annoying, it's obnoxious, which is, you know, kind of fun to just opt out of that. Can you imagine in another world somewhere where the victim was a woman and the perpetrator was a man, and they actually had the man come in to make a statement first and to run through all of the reasons why, you know, he was guilty but it wasn't so bad, or, you know, he's now come to terms with his privilege, all this kind of stuff. You heard the same nonsense every time one of these, it seems like every time one of these comic professionals comes out as being some kind of a sexual pervert, then they end up going the woke route, and, you know, basically claiming that, oh, I'm a victim of male culture and freaking toxic masculinity. It's like, it's all these other things. It's society's fault. It's not my fault, but I'm going to be better because yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. On the other hand, they're willing to go along with that because there's this oppression narrative doesn't really line up. This is why ideology has become this new secular religion. And if you're going by this ideological hierarchy of who is more a victim than others, you're going by group identity, group justice. It's actually going to stomp on actual victims and actual justice. They are not the same thing. Social justice and real justice are not the same thing. Okay, it does not matter what someone's skin color is like, you know, what gender they are. When they are a victim of sexual assault, I don't know what the details are. I don't really want to get into it anyway. But when they're the victim of something like this, nothing else matters. They've been a victim from a specific crime. So I guess kudos to Comics Beat for pulling it and making an apology. What a strange world we live in. This is further proof that the Twitter world is not the real world, and I love to see this stuff crashing and you know, reality dropping like a log. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. Downcast is now in fulfillment mode. I'm signing books right now, and I will be shipping everything out shortly after. So thank you everybody that has backed it. I really appreciate it. And onward and upward. If you don't have a copy of Downcast and you would like to get one, the best thing you can do is join the mailing list in the description below. When Downcast 2 comes out, we have the campaign. Downcast 1 will be available, and there's going to be a special secret tier for those of you that are on the mailing list. I'm really going to spoil you guys. So please do join the mailing list and like, subscribe. I will see you next time.